Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Port Angeles on yet another Talk Thursday. Here we are on November 10th. It's been an exciting week. We're going to start off this particular gathering with our first song, I Honor the Wholeness in Me. The first verse we will sing twice and then just go straight on through. I bring the wholeness home. I honor the wholeness in me. I honor the wholeness in you. I honor the wholeness in all. And I bring the wholeness home. I honor the peace that's in me. I honor the peace that's in you. I honor the peace that's in all. And I bring the peace home. I honor the joy that's in me. I honor the joy that's in you. I honor the joy that's in all. And I bring the joy home. I honor the sadness in me. I honor the sadness in you. I honor the sadness in all. And I bring the sadness home. I honor the power in me. I honor the power in you. I honor the power in all. And I bring the power home. I honor the wholeness in me. I honor the wholeness in you. I honor the wholeness in all. And I bring the wholeness home. And I bring the wholeness home. And I bring the wholeness home. Let's just take a breath on that, bringing that wholeness of us home. Wholeness is the theme for this entire month throughout all of Centers for Spiritual Living. And boy, that is a perfect theme for right here and right now. I have just a few announcements. We have our No Moon Drum Circle happening tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m. It's in the afternoon for those people that don't like driving at night. We're having our game night next Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. And then that next Friday we'll be off for our Thanksgiving break. We are having a Thanksgiving potluck. So if you happen to live in the area and you don't have somewhere to go, we would love to have you come and spend time with us. Call me, email me, go on my website if you're interested in participating in our Thanksgiving Day potluck. It'll be at 2 p.m. And then we'll do our talk on Thursday on Thanksgiving evening, just like always. I'd like to play a song before I begin my talk. I just received a book of music and a CD by a woman who was the musical director in a small center in Bellevue, Washington. And that center closed recently, and she has been graciously gifting her book of songs that she created for their congregation to many people who have asked for them. And I received it this week, and it was such a perfect gift. There's just a whole lot of really good songs that she created with, I'm sure, a lot of help from a lot of other people. This song, I printed the words in our program, and I'm going to read them before I play it so that we can really fully understand the song, and it will lead us directly into our talk. Small steps lead me to what's next. It's always small steps, guiding me home with love, guiding me home. So I invite you to just listen.
steps lead me to what's next. It's always small steps guiding me home, guiding me home. Small steps lead me to what's next. It's always small steps guiding me home, guiding me home with love, love, guiding me home, guiding me home with love, love, guiding me home, guiding me home with small steps lead me to what's next. It's always small steps guiding me home, guiding me home with small steps lead me to what's next. It's always small steps guiding me home, guiding me home with love, love, guiding me home, guiding me home with small steps lead me to what's next. It's always small steps guiding me home, guiding me home.
We played that song on Wednesday night when we gathered here as a time of meditation and prayer after the election. And my talk tonight might feel a little bit that it has to do with that, but it really doesn't. It sort of does. It's a lot bigger than just this one event. What's next is my talk title tonight. And before I begin, I just invite us to just shake it off. Just take a breath and go. Let's do that together one more time. What do we do now? That is the question that has been ringing out across the land, and yet it's an eternal question. What do we do now? What happens when life doesn't fit our preferences? What happens when our life goes completely, what appears to be askew, completely out of our realm of understanding or comprehension? What happens? What do we do? How do we move? How do we pick ourselves up and continue to move forward? Or do we just fall into a puddle and give up? All of us have had these moments where what we thought was going to be was something completely different. Is that not true that we've all had these moments? I thought I had it all figured out. It was going to look like this. And then it blew up. And it transformed into something else. I think that for many of us, we've had enough of those experiences in our life, and we can look back and see how where we are today is exactly where we're supposed to be, and it wouldn't have been if we hadn't gone through these earth-shaking, cataclysmic events in our life. So I want to just really address how we move through these things. whatever it is that's happening, a death, an illness that has been determined to be terminal. I mean, we're all terminal, but sometimes we get a diagnosis and we get a timeline that looks like it's based in some reality, although I don't always believe that. What happens when there's a divorce, or we lose our job, or one of our children dies before us? That's never supposed to happen, and yet it does. What do we do when life gets turned upside down? What next? How do I move forward? Do we freak out? Do we gloat? Well, my preferences got to be handled, but yours didn't. Do we revel in the chaos of what's going on? I remember when there was a time in my life where somebody had done something bad to me. And so when I was thinking about this person, I would revel when I would hear that their life was going badly. Well, they deserve that because of what they did to me. That there was a part of me that would revel in that. And as I'm thinking about what's going on in our country today, this week, if I want someone else to fail, that is not in my best interest. That is absolutely not in my best interest. So I get to look at that. What's my choice here? What do we choose? I purposely stayed off Facebook a lot the last few days, and I've kind of dipped my toe in a little bit here and there today. And a lot of people said, well, I just didn't even vote this time. And that's fine, that you're perfectly, you have the right to do that. And I've had a lot of people in life say, well, I'm just not going to choose. I don't like my options, so I'm not going to choose. Whatever it is. But no choice is a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice to abdicate and to turn over to someone else our choice of how we're going to be, who we're going to be, how we're going to respond to life instead of just react to it. I want to tell a little story that happened when I was in ministerial school. There was a class that we were required to take on diversity. And what I know is that almost every class that I heard about in different campuses, every time the diversity class would happen, the stuff would hit the fan. The class would blow up. Something would happen and the class would blow up. And this one particular group of people, I wasn't in this particular class, although my class had its own drama, but this one particular group of ministerial students, there were 7 women in this class. And they were a very diverse group. Other than all being women, they were extremely diverse. A big range of ages. There were people of color. There were people of this light skin color. There were people who were gay and people who were straight. There were people that were older and people that were younger. It was a very diverse group. And we heard later from members of this group that their class blew up around this topic of diversity. I mean, it really blew up. People stormed out and they were never coming back. They were giving up school. It was bad. It was ugly. And so it seemed like they were making a decision that was against their deeper desire and their best interest. And what I want to ask you is, have you ever made a choice that seemed to be against your own or somebody else's best interest? I know I have. I've made choices in my life that were against my own best interest. I've been a cheater. I've lied. I've done a few bad things. Not like horrendously bad. I've never, killed anybody or anything like that. But I've made some choices that in the long run were against my own best interest, that actually hurt me more than probably whoever I did these things against. And yet we make these choices sometimes that appear to be against our own best interest. And again, what do? How do we move forward? Change is always happening. Change is always happening. Everywhere. Somebody posted one of my favorite quotes. She said it was hers, and it's also one of mine. And I believe it's from Ernest Holmes. I didn't look it up. For a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like destruction. And yet, what comes from that seed, when it breaks open and its insides come out, is beautiful growth. It pushes its way through the resistance of the soil. It reaches for the light. And so what I want to focus on tonight is the light that we reach for. I invite us to honor the darkness. I freaked out Tuesday night and Wednesday. I have to say, I freaked out. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. I've cried, I've grieved, I've been upset. And then I took a shower and I got dressed and I fed my dog. The good thing about having a pet is it makes you have to get out of bed. And I continue to seek those people and places that affirm for me the light. I continue to hold to a bigger truth and light and love and the infinite possibility for good. I continue to do that, despite the part of me that wants to jump off the bridge into story and drama and fear. I don't know what's going to happen. Just like every other time in my life, when the stuff hit the fan, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and it looked like the biggest catastrophe ever. And I could have awfulized what was going to happen in my own life. And most often, I choose not to. I might dance around it for a little bit, kind of splash around in the water of despair. But it gets boring. To be frank, it gets boring. This quote from Martin Luther King that Reverend Clancy read, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive out hatred. Only love can do that." It was perfectly timed for me to see that today and to hear that today because it ties into the story about this ministerial class, this diversity class that blew up. So they all left in a huff. And somehow they chose to come back together. In their pain, their upset, their anger, their misunderstandings, they chose to come together consciously, to push through their resistance and to begin to have a deeper dialogue, a much deeper dialogue. And out of that dialogue came a show, came a presentation that I got to witness at one of our ministerial retreats. They were just starting to roll it out. It was incredible. Each person, they had it staged really interestingly, and each person, one at a time, came up and did a little monologue from their point of view. The woman who didn't understand about her white privilege and then suddenly had a breakthrough and understanding about that. The gay woman and her experience, the African American woman and her experience, the Hispanic woman and her experience. Each person shared. And in between each one of their little monologues, Melissa Felipe sang this song that she had written for the show. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive out hatred. Only love can do that. And by the end of this presentation, I was bawling like a baby. It was so incredible, the choice that these women had made, and to witness it. So they took their pain, they took their upset, they took their righteousness, and they came back together and they pushed through. to the other side where there was light and love. And then they didn't just keep that for themselves, they shared it. And now they occasionally take that little show on the road and they show it to other groups and other people. And it's made a huge impact on a lot of other people. I was a caregiver for my husband's mom and grandma for a number of years. And his grandma, at the end of her life, was 102 and a half. And every once in a while, I'd be having a rough day. And she would just pat my cheek. And she would say, with this lovely, gentle voice, "This too shall pass. This too shall pass." And I had to believe her. 102 years old. She's lived through the Spanish flu, 2 world wars, a depression, the death of 3 husbands. 3 of her 4 children had passed away by the time I was living with her. She chose love and light and to get up every day and put on her clothes and her lipstick and her earrings every day, no matter what. This too shall pass. So whatever it is we're going through, whatever seems to be this dark night, whatever fears we may be entertaining and playing with, this too shall pass. We are bigger. This universe is way bigger than just us, but just as humans, just as us ordinary folks, we are bigger and better than any one thing that has ever happened to us. We can choose light and love, and we can honor whatever else we're feeling. There has been a lot of buzz on the Ministers Listserv, which is a site that a bunch of ministers talk on, and also on Facebook, about this thing we call spiritual bypass. That, some people just want to go straight to the light. I don't want to look at anything else. La, 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 la. Let's just go to the light. And I get that. I've been there. I used to be that. If you've been listening at all to my talks, you get that that's not where I am now. Where I am now is feel the feelings. I said, I bawled and raged and was upset as all bejesus this week. And then I moved on. I've got things to do. So do you. We've got people to hug, dogs to feed, stuff to build, things to create, people to love. My niece is in New York City and going to school, and she comes from kind of a small town in Southern California, which is weird. She's right outside huge LA, but it feels like a small town where she has lived most of her life. And now she's in New York City, this massive melting pot, this place where there's every kind of person, and she's really starting to see a broad breadth of life. And she said, there's so many people to love. That's the way to be. There's so many people to love. The people that I disagree with, the people that I agree with. I get to love all of them. I have my preferences. They have their preferences. A lot of people have been in a lot of pain in this country, and that's part of why we've had the result that we've had. A lot of people have felt not listened to on both sides. Both sides. This is our time to step into what we know, to what we teach, to what we practice. If we fall down in the face of adversity, then what we've been saying all this time is just garbage. But it's not. We know it's not. So we have the opportunity to step into something greater, to step through whatever was going on in our personal lives, in our particular momentary specks of time, and choose something bigger. I'm going to close with a couple of things that were passed around on this minister's listserv. One is a prayer from Ernest Holmes, and I'm going to invite us, when I read that, to use that as our closing meditation. But I also want to read this little piece here. This was pretty good. Do you believe it is all good? Then President Trump is good, even if it seems otherwise. Evolution is a word that Ernest Holmes liked. He considered it a process of spirit, the way spirit grows things, like us. If you look at this election through the eyes of evolution, spiritual, not just biological evolution, then Trump can be seen as a catalyst of change. We, our culture, are at a point of necessary transformation of consciousness. Necessary transformation of consciousness. We need to change, but the built-in resistance to it makes the big change of transformation hard. We're the seed that doesn't want to bust open sometimes. The way big change happens is often through chaos. Chaos loosens the grip of the current structure enough for restructuring to occur. That's when transformation can take place. If we fight change, it can be hard on us. If we play with it, knowing that something better is building, it can actually be fun. Small inputs during chaos have big effects. This is our opportunity to make mid-course corrections to where we are going. Small inputs during chaos have big effects. Small steps, leading me to what's next, guiding me home, home, home. We can quiet the crazy-making mind and come home to something bigger in our heart. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and take a breath. And I'm going to leave us with the words of Ernest Holmes. My prayer for my country. Believing in the divine destiny of the United States of America and in the preservation of liberty, security, and self-expression, I offer this, my prayer for my country. I know that divine intelligence governs the destiny of the United States of America, directing the thought and activity of all who guide its affairs. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are the gifts of freedom and are the divine heritage of everyone in this country. I know that success, prosperity, and happiness are now operating in the affairs of every individual in this country. I know that divine guidance enlightens the collective mind of the people of this country, causing it to know that economic security may come to all without the loss of either personal freedom or individual self-expression. I know that no one can believe or be led to believe that freedom must be surrendered in order to ensure economic security for all. The all-knowing mind of God contains the answer to every problem which confronts this country. I know that every leader in this country is now directed to this all-knowing mind and has the knowledge of a complete solution to every problem. And each is compelled to act upon this knowledge to the end that abundance, security, and peace shall come to all. And I know that this spiritual democracy shall endure, guaranteeing to everyone in this country personal liberty, happiness, and self-expression. And so it is. Amen. I invite you this week to figure out what small steps you get to take within yourself to heal your own divide, to come to unity and peace, and make a choice about how you want to live your life. That's what we can do. We can also stand up for every single person who has not felt like they had a voice. we can be a voice for the voiceless. That's important. Then they find their voice and can use their voice for themselves. That's important too. I am grateful for this time and this place, for the fact that I had to come up with a talk tonight, and that the right and perfect words have come, the right resources have flowed in, and that I can be at peace, regardless of whatever's going on. I know this for each other. I know this for all beings everywhere, that there is peace right in the center of our being, and that we can access it at any moment. And so it is. This is our time for conscious giving. We practice giving and receiving each week. If you are choosing to give a financial gift today, I invite you to place it on your heart. If you're giving of your talent and your time, place that on your heart as well. We have a conscious affirmation giving prayer that we give every week. I invite us to say it together. I am open to give. I am open to receive. I am grateful to be in the flow of life, through and as me.